deliver this webinar and to share my experience and my knowledge in the area of virtual collaboration, as I have started doing it long time before the coronavirus. And as Cecily already introduced, I think it's just a very natural way to be working today, or to enhance our work today in the globalized world, and to decrease the hassle that we have through commute and through travel, concentrate on our work while we're working, and concentrate on making personal connections when we do meet personally. And I will put now the presentation. I will share my screen. Okay, does it work? Yes, it works. So I will skip the introduction of myself, as Cecily has already covered it. I'm a Ukrainian originally, have lived for many years in Germany, and recently moved to Dubai, and enjoying it here greatly. Now I would like to know you a little bit. So because we have so many people, 48 right now, I don't want to go through personal introduction, and I would prefer to do a poll instead. So I would like to see what are the people, the participants that we are having here today. And I will launch a poll, and I would ask you to respond to it. I think it should be very easy, so there shouldn't be no questions how to do it. So the first question would be, how experienced are you in virtual collaboration? 51% voted. 53. I think you could do better. We wait until at least 70. No, if you feel free to vote, but if for some reasons you don't want to, it's also fine. I think we have here a hand raised. Cecily, maybe you could take care of that to see what the question is. And I will end the poll, and I show you the distribution. So many people, most of the people, about half of us have shown that they are somewhat experienced, and they, in the present situation, know how to react to the adverse conditions, but still are looking forward to learn more and to experience more. Some of the people are quite new, so welcome. And we have some of the experts, so if you have some comments or adjustments or just some input, feel free to put it in the comments, and we will share it with the rest of us. And another question that I want to ask to see what kind of people we have: are you a manager? Are you a manager in the sense that you are leading a group of people? So that would be being a manager of a team, or being an entrepreneur and a manager, the leader of the whole organization. The thing is that we will see how whether we have to put more emphasis on leading the people through the virtual work, or organizing yourself through the virtual collaboration with other people. Great. Okay. Very nice. We give it another 3 seconds. And now I end the poll. And I share it with you. So most of us, of the audience today, are managers. So you have people that you lead through these times, and that's why that was also the expectation, and that's what we are going to cover today. So I really hope that you get some valuable insights through this presentation. Thank you so much for your participation. Okay, and now we go back. So today takeaways are structured in 3 chapters. First, we go through first things first. Through the time of the coronavirus, we just thrown into the situation that we were not expected, probably not prepared to take over that much virtual collaboration just right now. So the first thing that we have to address is maintaining business continuity for our business. and make sure that we are viable in these times. There will be different aspects for different industries, but I was trying to cover the main aspects that the most of you would find useful. Then we will go through the virtual leadership, what is maybe different in the virtual collaboration than it's in face-to-face teams. And I also put a chapter on effective communications and tools, as this becomes essential at the times when people cannot see each other daily in the office. We have a lot of information, a lot of material today, so in order to make it a little bit more interactive, please put the questions on the chat, and we will do a small question and answer session after each chapter. Okay, so we will not keep all the questions to the very end, but we will discuss first set of questions, then the second set of questions for the second chapter, and some at the end. Depending on how much time we have, we can adjust a little bit and take some more time for the questions that are of interest for you. I hope it's okay with everyone. Okay, so let's start. First things first. When you send your people into the home office, the very first thing, obviously, that you have to make sure that you have all the hardware, and the people have the internet connection, and they are able to connect to the server or to the cloud, or but the VPN is working if you need one. One very important thing is that the technical support, IT hotline, is functioning, is working. Usually those people are very savvy on technology and can work from anywhere. But for some other people, it might be a lot of help if something doesn't work, that they can adjust it quickly. At this time, it is important that we have our main tools up and running. So it would be email, it would be telephone. If you are used to WhatsApp and messaging, obviously it's a very helpful tool to connect people quickly. Depending on what kind of data storage you were using, if you have access to your server, it's great. Otherwise, there should be some quick solutions made available so people can share information, be it a Dropbox or be it a Google Drive or whichever tool you want to use, but so that people can share information in the same place. Doesn't have to be Zoom, but there should be one virtual collaboration, virtual communication tool that can connect people kind of face to face, as long as you cannot meet physically. Which other tools can be implemented? There are just so many tools, and I just put one example. This is a source of www.remote.tools, which tools and which categories of tools there are. But I think at the time when we just want to have the business set up and running and continue business continuity, it's not important. These things can be taken care of strategically, so just that there's not too much work in the very first days. Once that the technology part is set up, it's important to structure the work. The priorities while working remotely or while working into this at this adverse conditions might change. So it's important to talk to people, because we all are new in the situation, and especially for those in charge or managing other people, it's important to set the priorities, to set the clarification so people know what's important today and how we work together and where we concentrate, to decrease the insecurity that our employees might feel. Some projects may be put on hold, some projects may just wait for the better times after the coronavirus. On the other hand, maybe someone can free time for some conceptual work, maybe write a book or write an article, some things that have been already put down for a long time. Change or adjust responsibilities. Maybe you need to set up a new role or a new responsibility to make sure that things are running. Maybe it should be like a remote work manager or something specific to your industry or to your company. It's just something to think about. Some solutions that cannot be performed remotely, or some processes that cannot be done remotely. We should also think what we do with those, just to make sure we have business continuity. Maybe there are still some people who have to go to the office to run the machines, or maybe those processes can be shut down completely. Team buy-in is very important, so the team is all on the same page. It's important to ask for feedback, to ask for questions, to ask for maybe different priorities. Maybe some of them have some conflict of interest that has to be addressed while structuring the work remotely for the whole team. Once we have clarified the priorities, there are some rules that the manager would like to set to have people on the same page and to make sure that the work is done efficiently. I have put some of them on here, and they would be very specific to your industry or to your company or to the way you work or your culture. So there are just some things to think about, and we can talk about them in more detail. I can give some more maybe insights of how some companies do it and what would be a good way. But the general idea is to allow for a lot more flexibility than we do, because some people may have to arrange their private life around their work. We all know that schools are closed in many countries, so those kids are at home, and it requires additional flexibility from the people working at home with the kids and the people, managers, just knowing that people used to be coming to the office and working straight for 8 hours per day. You maybe want to arrange some office hours on the phone, that people are available on the phone, you can reach them on the phone, and you can make call anytime during those hours and expect people to pick up. Email communications rules. We do get a lot of emails these days, and it's important that we are connected if the main communication tool is email. So you might want to set up time till response. Maybe you want to have a response the same day, or maybe it should be by, I don't know, within 2 or 3 hours. You might acknowledge the reception just to make sure that the email has arrived or not. Use of CC and BCC. Many companies that I work with, they don't use BCC, so only CC, but it's also use it mindfully and just make sure that you keep the information that you're sharing at bay and don't overwhelm people with any information that might not be relevant at this time, that the information, sharing information is so essential, and knowing which information is important is so essential. Document management, we started a little bit on that, just to make sure that everyone has access to the server or to the cloud that the documents are stored, or there are some other solutions implemented that people can share documents, and we don't lose ourselves in different versions of different documents. Meeting rules. Many of you maybe are happy that there are not that many meetings going on, because in many organizations in the corporate world, there are just too many meetings. But on the other side, meetings are essential, and meetings are very important while working virtually. So you might want to implement some new routine for the meetings. For example, daily check-ins, just to make sure people are fine with what they're doing and can continue their tasks. If any of you, how many of you are working with Scrum? Do you know daily stand-ups? So daily stand-ups are quite important for different reasons. It's one thing that people see each other for a few minutes during the day, and they really quickly address the issues that might be important. And there are like 3 questions in the daily stand-up that you can also implement for your team. So it would be, what have I done yesterday or since last daily stand-up? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, I'm in the webinar, so it would be great if you could just come later. Thanks. I'm sorry. So the 3 questions that you want to offer your team for daily stand-up or daily check-in is, what have you done since yesterday or since the last check-in? What is your plan to do today or until the next check-in? And what do you need for that? Are you okay with what you have? Do you need to speak to anyone? Do you need some other information? Can we help you with it? It also connects the team better. So you know that other people are also working the same thing, the same big goal. So you just feel connected. Weekly meetings for the whole team to have a little bit more exchange, to have a little bit more time for talking and connecting to people. Working in small groups and different projects are still on. So you really want to encourage people to meet online in that collaboration tool that you have decided, and just have their projects running. Clear goals for those meetings. It's very important that meetings have clear goals for being efficient, but we will come later to the way how we can structure meetings in a great way, in a way that we all can profit from the meetings in the later chapter. So just keep on. One-to-ones are very important, are even more important than in the office setup, not to lose people. So as a manager, you probably want to arrange regular phone calls, one-to-ones, maybe once a week, with your people to talk professional questions, but also to discuss any of the personal worries or questions or insecurities that people might have on their mind. Children at home, we talked a little bit about this in the beginning. So for people who have children and children are not going to school, that's a real challenge. And they have to arrange their work around it. And for the children, it's also a challenge because it's also a very new situation to them, and they have lost their daily routine as well. So we, as parents, I am a parent of 3 children, so I know how it is working home with kids. And it's very important to make sure that we as parents find a balance between work and between taking care of our children and between coming to our own needs, so we are balanced. The children need us even more today than they used to be when things are regularly, because they're out of school, they're away from their friends, they're away from their routine, and they need our psychological support as well. On the other side, from the point of view of the manager, it's important to acknowledge that people with children have a lot more going on their mind and in their houses, and they are doing their best trying to organize that and to keep all those balls in the air. So just offer some understanding and some flexibility when having employees with children. And we don't have to have this one, right? So we want that our employees are happy, productive, organized, and balanced. So there are some tips that I have collected here for self-organization and for giving the opportunity and the tips to your team members and to your employees to be organized, to organize themselves, and to make sure that the psychological balance is kept up and the productivity is kept high. So adapt the daily routine as you do it in the office. Wake up in the morning, have your breakfast, have your coffee, and set a certain time that you want to start your work. Schedule your tasks. Make a list what you want to do today, what are your goals for the day, and how you want to organize them. Timeboxing, we will come a little bit more on the next slide to timeboxing. It's a way to make sure you spend as much time on a task or on a meeting or a discussion or finding a solution as you want, and it does just not get out of hand. Prioritize your backlog. We will all get a backlog because we probably will not manage as much as we used to be managing during the day, especially of the things that we used to be doing. So if you cannot put everything on hold, there are things that have to be managed today. Make sure you set priorities. Make sure you're realistic about the time estimates, how much each task takes. If the estimate is not realistic or it's too short, make sure to adjust. Make sure you talk to your employees about their time management, because we want them to be happy, balanced, and productive, or at least in a good mood, balanced and productive. Schedule breaks. If you don't have kids, maybe sitting at home and working very concentrated on any of your tasks, you forget to, whether it's a daylight or night, you forget to eat and to drink and just keep working. So make sure you keep, you schedule breaks, and you do some other things during the time break so you can be productive and concentrated after that. And make a clear-cut separation between work and not work. When you're working at home, for many people who are new to work at home, it's not self-explanatory. They just don't think about it, that, okay, I have to set my daily routine, and I also have to have the end of my daily routine when I can relax, I can have dinner with my family, and I can enjoy some leisure time. So make sure to talk to your employees about that, and make sure that they can just switch off at the end of the productive working day and be ready for the next one tomorrow. A little bit about time boxing. Those are boxes that you put your tasks in. So you want to schedule your tasks, set maximum allowed time in which you want to complete your task, and make sure you stick to it. Make sure you plan these time slots and put them into your calendar. Otherwise, you just cannot keep track of whether you're still on track or not. Make sure the priority corresponds to the task. So if you want to spend more time on a certain task, it's fine. But if it's just something quick, or if it's a first draft or first version, or if it's a preparation for a discussion, just make sure that the priority and the value are in correspondence to each other. Pomodoro timer. Do I have to stop on that? Do you guys know what that is? Pomodoro timer is a technique of time management where you work in little Pomodoro entities, which are 25 minutes of concentrated work, and then a small break in between, and you do have to stick to those. So you want to partition, okay, we have here something. So you want to partition your tasks into those 25-minute entities. And you take 2 or 3 minute break, and then after 4 Pomodoro sessions, so after about 2 hours, you take a longer break of 15 to 20 minutes before you go back to concentrated work. Okay? And you can time box different things. So you not only time box your own individual work, but you can time box meetings. You say, okay, the meeting only takes 1 hour, or you can time box the agenda points on the meeting, or you can time box discussion, or you can time box time for brainstorming, or time for breaks, or anything. It's a very useful technique to make sure you are productive and you're spending as much time on the things you want to spend time as you have planned. Okay, so I think we have, I went through all the things that I thought might be interesting for you to set up the first, the initial situation of how you want to work together with your teams. If you do have any questions on that, or you want to go somewhere in depth, that would be a great time to address those questions. I look to Cicely, whether we have any in our backlog or in our chat. Cicely?
No, we don't seem to have any questions so far.
Okay.
If there's any questions, you can share it on chat. It will come directly to us and we can address it.
So just, if you don't have any questions, just give me some indication where you found it useful or you wanted to see something more, something different. Should I cover something in more detail, or just give me some feedback on how we are doing on this one. Otherwise, we have to do another poll.
So we have a question. Are we going to talk about the tools as well?
We are going to talk about tools a little bit. The thing about tools, as I showed the very first slide, the tools, there are so many different tools and there are so many different categories. And we are dealing in this group with so many different companies, different structure, different industry, different market, different distributions channels, different communication channels. Some of the companies are a lot more digital than some others, just due to the way of their business. So it's very difficult to cover the technology part. We will go into a little bit of technology part at the end. And I can share the list of the things that you might want to introduce on the long run. But as I'm saying, introduction of new technology is a challenge, and I will cover that a little bit later. So just to set up your team to be going in the remote mode, everything you need is a file share structure, is a communication tool, is a video collaboration tool, and the phone. I don't know if it answers your question.
We have another question. How do we keep the teams motivated?
We will cover this in the leadership part. I present some ideas and we can discuss on those ideas, elaborate on those ideas a little bit more. So as you see, there is an explicit point, maintaining high performance. So
a lot of people want to access the presentation. They're asking if you will share the presentation.
I think you are sharing the recording, right?
Yeah, we can do that. We're recording this, so we can.
And if you want to have a presentation, I will share my email address. So please feel free to contact me anytime, and I can give you the presentation.
Or we can send it out to all the attendees here. That's what we usually do. We do a survey as well, how it goes, so we can do that.
I'm fine on that.
Yeah, there are a couple of people who came in late. I think you will get some of the questions, like they wanted to know about kids, handling kids. Maybe we can move to the next session.
We just do that. We move to the next session. So in the remote world, be a leader. Everything that's on-site for on-site teams is a good thing, becomes essential in the virtual team, because you don't see people, you cannot access people directly. You are not in the position to see how they work and what they work on. You are not in the position, in the situation to see on their appearance whether they're happy, whether they're not happy, whether they are coming along, whether they are bored, or whether they want to do something different. So all those things that you can just observe on people's behavior, you cannot see them while they work remotely. So the leadership qualities, being a leader and being able to reach to the people through the technology, becomes essential in the remote team. So how do you do it? You have the vision as a leader, and you have your company has a goal and the strategic direction where you're going to. And it is very important to unite people behind that strategic direction in any team, but it becomes even more essential in the remote team, where you want people to work toward your mission and toward your vision individually while sitting in their homes or in their remote locations or wherever they work from, right? So first of all, make the vision clear and explicit to everyone. Communicate this vision. I I'm sure that you have done it, and I'm sure your people know what the vision is. But if you want to get some feedback, it's a very interesting exercise to ask people what they know about the vision, how they see the vision. You might get some, the feedback on your vision filtered through their expectations.
Cannot see screen.
Excuse me?
I cannot see the.
You cannot see? Anyone else cannot see the presentation? Just give us some feedback so we know whether we have to adjust some on the technology.
No, we can see the presentation fine.
Yeah, I can see the presentation.
Okay,
now.
so maybe that's just one person individual. Maybe you can, I don't know, close the application and reopen it.
I think you just need to go to full screen and it works fine.
Okay. All right, so we continue. So ask them to give you feedback. You know, like if some people are saying, if you want to expand, and some people are saying, okay, my personal goal is just to keep my job, or to make sure that we make it through the difficult time, then you might get some insight that you want to align people behind the vision and to give the focus and to give the direction. Make sure people are connected on that vision. Make sure that the personal goals that people have for their personal development, of their professional development, are aligned with a common goal and are aligned with each other goals, that you can work cohesively as a team. Create a positive corporate culture, because if you have positive, open corporate culture, it's a lot easier to see whether everyone is on the same page and where everyone is moving the same direction. But we go a little bit more detail on the culture. Culture works on different levels. So you start the culture by giving the sense of direction, and you actually reach to people's beliefs and expectations that are filtered through their own views, priorities, personal development goals, career development goals. So your purpose, your goal as a leader is to align these personal goals and personal expectation and beliefs with the purpose. You don't see the expectation and beliefs, you only observe behaviors. So you are trying on, while viewing the behaviors, to understand whether people are aligned with the goal of the company. A good way is to implement the culture of constructive feedback, so people can openly talk about things they like, things they don't like. Feedback is not only the negative thing, hopefully it is not. Hopefully it is constructive, hopefully there are no new ideas that people are willing to share with you. And it's important for you as a leader to share feedback, to give feedback to people, to set a good example. And if you do receive feedback, to act on it, because this strengthens the trust in you as a leader and opens for more collaboration and for more positive culture. Communicate a lot and openly, because this is essential. People, when going remote, often tell they feel alienated, or that they feel left out, lonely. So make sure that you do have this sense of community, even though you're in physically dispersed places. Encourage. If you have small things that went really well, and they can be just really small. You had a meeting that you have finished on time. Encourage people if they present ideas, or encourage people if they do give feedback. Just find things to encourage and to give people positive feedback whenever you can. And do celebrate. Remote teams can have to celebrate things, because this is something that is creating culture. And culture is many different things, and as you see, and especially in the remote world, there are very small steps, and I encourage you to work on a positive work culture, one step at a time. We had some questions about team performance. So how do we go about this team performance? Hopefully, if we have a positive, constructive, motivated culture, corporate culture, performance is not an issue, as everyone is motivated to do his best. One very important thing that happens when going remote, people are not in the office the set amount of time. So you have the shift from time-based work to result-based work. And what you as a leader might consider doing, shifting the way what you expect, how you set your expectations to the people. So do you expect them to sit at their desk at home for 8 hours? Or do you expect the result that they can present to you? And if this result was been created within 4 hours or 5 hours, it's as great as if it had taken 10 hours. This part, this thing, time-based to result-based switch, works very well with the tasks and with the to-dos that you can actually measure, right? That you have an artifact, a document, a presentation, an idea, a sales target at the end of the week or at the end of the month. But there are so many tasks that you cannot just transfer into the result-based work. So what you really want to do is to apply appropriate metrics and appropriate KPIs to those things. One example, if you have some processes that need to be taken care of, or you have a call center, right? So the call center, the person has to be available on the hotline for the amount of time that has been set. It's a time-based work, but it's still a result-based work because you might want to consider the customer satisfaction during that time. So you always want to have some goals and some opportunity for growth for people, discuss those with the people, engage them in their tasks, help them or give them way to formulate their own tasks, give them bigger tasks and ask them how they want to achieve that goal. So for example, I don't know, we have a sales manager and we want to increase our, I don't know, sales targets, right? So that would be a goal that you as a manager might communicate to the sales manager and ask him, how do you want to do it? Because he knows his work better than maybe you do or maybe someone else do. And he would have great ideas. Obviously, you can discuss with him those ideas and you adjust and you make sure that the ideas and the goals and the targets are realistic, are aligned with the company goal, challenging for the employees, so they are a little bit of a stretch, but that he's engaged with them. So he took part into formulating them according to his own views and visions. Set goals for growth and development. Make sure that, as I'm already, I just said, that the goals are stretch, so people can grow and develop. And good leaders get not 100% out of their employees, but they get a lot more than 100%. They had 120, 130%, not because they are pressing as much as they can out of their employees, but because the employees grow their potential and tomorrow they can deliver more than they could deliver yesterday. Conflict management, that's something that's quite difficult to do online. And the best conflicts will arise because we are humans and we still have our differences and different views on different topics. So you just want to make sure that you address those conflicts early. Conflict prevention before conflict resolution. If you have good company, a positive culture, if you have good motivation, if all your employees are aligned with the bigger goal and see that polar star, hopefully there's less conflict. So it's a good conflict prevention strategy. Early and open communication, appreciation and feedback for any things that have went well. watch for early warnings. So those early warnings are quite difficult to spot if you are new to online collaboration, but they can be as much as an email coming a bit later than usual, a response email, or the formulation in the email a little bit less friendly, or the CC list that's being sent between the employees is becoming longer, or I don't know, you know your employees, so just watch for the employees, watch how the communication goes, watch how open they are to talk to you, because those might be signals, early warnings of something, some dissatisfaction going on one side or the other. And do talk about it early. Risk factors are obviously written communication and the time lag, so also adjust for that. And talking about open communication, there was one study, academic study, that have analyzed the meaning of silence in remote communication, saying it by email. So the study has found that the reasons for silence, as I agree, I strongly disagree, I'm indifferent, I'm out of town, I'm having technical problems, I don't know how to address the sensitive issue, I'm busy with other things, I did not notice your question, I did not realize you wanted a response, have been true reasons for not giving a response in one time or the other in the same project for the same team. So just be aware, if someone is not responding, it still doesn't matter, it's a conflict. Okay? So that was something I wanted to tell you about leadership, and I'm happy to take your questions and as well your feedback, your points that you would like to go deeper in, or how you want to.
I have some questions from before while the session was going on. For many companies, WhatsApp group seems to be the norm. Is this fine if there is buy-in for this, or is it worth looking at Teams and then trying to get a buy-in?
I will, this will be something that we still talk about, so just please hold on to your question, and if it is still a question at the end, we will come back to it.
Yeah, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, what about using the terminology or the term of electronic leadership? Okay, usually
leadership?
Electronic leadership, yes.
Of course. Just
yeah, because the definition of electronic leadership is social influence mediated by advanced information technology. And also, I'm Dr. Hamza, by the way, Assistant Professor of Leadership and Innovation Management at Skyline University College in Sharjah. Okay, now I'm conducting one research actually about the using of electronic leadership and how it can impact the innovation as a process and product with the role of team collaboration. Okay, so I think now in this situation, we should move from normal or face-to-face communication of leadership to electronic leadership. And there is many articles actually and theories related to this topic.
Right. That's a very good question, a very good issue. And I think we have to make sure that is it electronic leadership? Is it a face-to-face? Is it a leadership that, as are you saying, mediated through technology? We are still humans, and the main thing that the human connection is getting through the technology, right? So technology is a great plus, and it's opening great opportunities to us to work better together. And especially in times like Corona crisis, it's the only way to work better together. But we always have to remember that technology is the enabler, and us people making people connections and making close, trustful connections to each other within the team is what is keeping us going.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I have another question. One common fear among the group is I am going to lose the job. How should we build the confidence? For many of us, it's the first time and chances of making mistakes are more. What should be the leadership view?
The fear was I don't want to lose the job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And to do that,
exactly.
new thing.
So this is one of the points I started with. People are in a new situation, and there is a lot of insecurity. There is a lot of worrying going on, right? So for the leader, the first thing, the very must thing, is get the team, get individual employees, and talk to them. Talk to them about the situation. Be open. Sometimes it's difficult. People are worried that, okay, if I cannot do my job anymore, is my line is going to be closed? Is my place is going to be taken away, rationalized away? Is there some other opportunity? Do I have to do something? Can I do something? Can I influence it? And leadership is it's a great leverage on that, so that in an honest and timely discussion, those very human, very understandable worries can be addressed. And in no matter which situation, even sometimes some businesses will have to close. I hope it's not any of our businesses, any of the businesses that we have participants today in our webinar. But some businesses will have to close down, and people will lose their jobs. And the best leaders might not be able to prevent it, depending on the industry and specific of business and clients that you have, and business partners. If you are a supplier for some other company that just does not survive this crisis, then you're also very affected. So the best thing is to talk to people and to have them on the same page. That's just my advice.
We have, how frequently should a manager reach out to the team so it is optimum?
It's for the manager and for the team. If the team is big and there are more layers under the team, then the meeting would be probably less often, less frequent. If the team is small, it's essential that the team leader is present, especially in these difficult times. But usually you can just think of how often have you seen your team members before the coronavirus, when they were in office, how often you saw them passing by, going to the to get the coffee or having lunch together, or having some other interactions, and to compensate for that. So I would say to the direct reports, if they're good structure, and you have, I don't know, to 10 direct reports, to reach out to them even individually on a weekly basis. And those team daily stand-ups, they're a very good thing. It's up to you whether you implement them. But one thing that you don't want to have, that people feel lonely and alienated and lost. So if it's more, it's more. Also keep in mind, be mindful of other people's times. So you don't want it to be a drag. A short meeting in the morning would probably reveal already how the mood on the team is working.
Question, what's the average proven time for a video conference? A high performance focused video conference, that is.
Right. So it depends what kind of conference. We will also cover that a little bit later, but I just answer a question really shortly. It depends which conference. You really don't want to have a conference going for more than 90 minutes. I think that what we are doing a lot of information, and we are many people, and I do my best. I put really a lot of value on interaction. So I'm really thankful you for the questions. But 90 minutes, it's probably already on the far end, on the upper end. You do want to keep your meetings as focused as possible, and you do want to keep your meetings with as small teams as possible. So just avoid meetings where you only have to disseminate information. But we get to more on that later.
Do these suggestions change when dealing with students or interns?
Yes, of course. Many students or interns are not, I mean, if you have employees who are experts in their field of work, who have been doing their work individually for a very long time, they will be the ones who are finding their routine, finding the way they work, finding the way, setting their own priorities within the vision of the company. So you can check up with them on a regular basis just to make sure things are going well. But if you have junior employees, on the one side, they might need more help, more mentoring to do their tasks. And on the other side, they might also need help in their work organization. So usually they require more time and attention. If you as an entrepreneur, as a team, or as a company head cannot afford to take care of those interns, that would be a good idea to assign a mentor, some of the more senior employees in the company who would just keep an eye on interns, students or junior employees.
How do you effectively dissipate the spreading of fake news and unsourced posts through social media?
It's difficult. Internet is the only thing that's accessible to us, and clear communication, open communication, timely communication, trustful communication, collecting feedback. That would be my suggestion. Just appeal to the worries of people, and try to address them and try to comfort them on that psychological and emotional level.
This is the last question. During this time, businesses will have to make unpopular or tough decisions. Any
Right.
tips on how to communicate this to the team and handle hard talk?
Right. We are talking here about the points that we've already addressed: conflict of interest. We are talking here about things, tough times, tough decisions, insecurities, worries of people that materialize. Obviously, you don't want to worry people even more until it's inevitable, right? But and there are different cultures and different priorities, and different cultures, not only the corporate cultures, but also the national cultures, right? Some cultures, like in Germany, it's more common to, in a small team, to involve everyone in the decision, or to involve everyone into the process of making decision, because just knowing what's going on comforts people, makes them less anxious and less prone to believe fake news. In some other cultures, it's better if the leader keeps the information for himself and then just gives the final solution, final conclusion that has been reached within the management team or alone, or how it is. So that's always a balance, and it's always how the leader feels comfortable with his own communication. So just try to listen to yourself, to think what you would be comfortable telling people today, and tell it today, and keep for tomorrow what you prefer to tell them tomorrow. Okay.
That's it. That was the last question.
All right. Okay, so we'll go to the last actually the takeaway point of our today's presentation is effective communication and tools. We cover some of the tools. We have covered many of the things, so if I go a bit quick on that, we will have just more time for discussion at the end. I hope it's fine with everyone, but we still have enough time to cover them. So communicate with colleagues often and well. That's the only way we can see them, we can reach out to them, and we can stay connected as a team. It also brings the office normality, because in the office what you had meetings probably more than you would have loved to have. And now it goes to less meetings, so it's a big change. But meetings are good things. Meetings are good things for collaboration. Meetings are good things to resolve issues and conflicts, to notice some of the issues, maybe some things that have not been explicit yet, to find ideas, to come to better solutions, to come to conclusions, to prevent alienation, but to remind you're part of the team. But obviously you do want to have those meetings as focused and as efficient as you can do, because a drag meeting online is a lot worse than a bit slow meeting in the office. Because what happens, people start doing different things, right? They go watch video, they distract themselves with some other things, go to the garden, mow the lawn. So you really don't want to have that. Always, as often as you can, please do use video collaboration. On video collaboration, it's not, it's a lot more engaging when you see people's faces, because you are talking to them and you see their immediate reaction. But it's also a lot more difficult to do other things while you're on a video call than you're on a telephone call. And you also see, if you do meetings, we will here communicate often and well. So you do want to switch on your webcam, right? And you do want to have small meetings. So you do want to have all people being engaged. You only want to invite people that can contribute to that meeting. And it should be okay if someone is not contributing to the meeting or he thinks he doesn't have to say something that is being discussed. It's fine for that person just to leave the meeting, right? So we do not have this meeting overload, and we have efficient, structured, focused, short meetings, and can go do the rest of our stuff the way that's most efficient to us and to the team. Meet regularly, do meet regularly so you don't lose the connection, but meet well. Work as groups, and the one-to-ones are important to pick up individual issues that you cannot pick up anymore just watching the person working in the office. Achieve the necessary level of media and technical competence in your team. We are using simple tools here, but there are some, maybe you want to collaborate on a tool. Maybe you want to write a document together. Maybe you want to do a mind map in your meeting. Those are tools that make meetings a lot more engaging. And the good thing about the virtual thing that everyone can see them from their computer, and you don't have to stand around one computer, or you don't have to have one person doing all the typing work and the rest are just hopefully giving input. So do use different tools and make sure you engage people with those tools. Watch out that your meetings are participation and not presentation, right? So everyone is participating. Be it if it's a dissemination of information, maybe one of the goals for that meeting to collect feedback. If it's only information, maybe there should not be a meeting for that. And be mindful of other people's times, right? So keep those meetings well structured and well time boxed, and respect other people's schedule. Also, for international teams, for global teams, one thing, it's not peculiar to a coronavirus, but just something to consider, the time zones. If you're working in a global team and you're on a different time zones, make sure that you do your meetings, if they're regular meetings, that you do your meetings in times comfortable to all participants, right? If you have Asia and you have the States in one team, make sure that you rotate the times. We have someone from America, early morning for you. So make sure you rotate the times. So it at least once in a while is comfortable for the rest of the people, right? How many people are involved? It's something for mindful communication and for well-structured communication. So account for the number of people that are involved in the task, in the project, in the discussion, the complexity of the information, how you want to structure it, and the involvement of the participants, right? Because we were saying we want to have the meetings well structured. That's just some sketch that I have drawn before to draw your attention to how this information is disseminating, is spreading, and what would be good ways for communication, right? So that's a thing on those WhatsApp groups. If you like get 10 people and you have individual WhatsApps, or someone is writing in a WhatsApp group and someone is writing outside of WhatsApp group, you have, for 5 people, you have already 10 ways, right? So you can calculate how many you have for the 10 people. If you have many people on your team, you probably would want to structure, to disseminate the information, or to collect the information, or collect input, or give output in a more structured way. So try to work with smaller teams and collect feedback from one designated person in that team, right? And how to hold great meetings. There are some insights for great meetings that I just show you. So you want to have your meetings to have goals, to have specific roles, to meet certain expectations, to have accountability and timing. Always do have a goal for a meeting. Just imagine what you have to achieve at the end of this meeting, and whether it's the right way to put this meeting, who should be the people who are necessary for that meeting, what are the tools, and what is the preparation. Set up the agenda. Don't put too many points on the agenda, because as we just talked about it, meetings should be short and focused. Send the invitation so the agenda and the goals are clear to everyone, and everyone can prepare and be ready to contribute in the most efficient and the best way he or she can. Roles. Do have roles, assigned roles for your meetings. I put a few that might be an idea. Check for your team and specifics of your business, how you want to arrange them and who do you want to have. So you do have to have one person that's organized. That can be the same person, right? So it doesn't have to be a different person. An organizer, someone who has a goal, has a need for this meeting, and is setting up the agenda and inviting the people. You would want to have a facilitator on the meeting just to take care of the questions, of discussions, to time box, to arrange the information, maybe to make sure everyone is participating. And you have the experts that are hopefully prepared to give their best input onto that meeting. You do want to have someone to write down the notes in whichever form you would like to. What I prefer is we call that activate the meeting. So you don't usually write notes, but you create tasks, right? So if you're working with a collaboration tool that we come a little bit later, you create tasks and you task them directly to the people. You can rotate the role. So it's not that everyone is an organizer and everyone is obviously a timekeeper or note keeper. So you just can assign or take turns if it's a team meeting. Expectations, be clear on the expectations, follow the agenda, have the clarity and consistency about what you want to achieve on the meeting, be respectful to each other, be prepared, be involved, and give feedback, make the expectations, or make retrospective sessions on a regular basis. Do lessons learned to make sure that everyone is still on the same page and you are still doing fine on your great meetings. Be accountable, so keep your commitments, do your homework, activate the to-dos that you have been assigned to, and keep the purpose in mind. Keep the commitments, activate the to-dos, and and make sure that you are in time and timely, and just time box all your things. Some to the social interaction. This is something that many teams that go remote, that they just lose on it. And being mindful and being great with your great meetings, it's still essential for a remote team to have social interaction. So make sure you plan social interaction to, you plan the informal, you formalize the informal. Maybe it's daily check-ins, maybe it's some fun, some icebreakers. In this picture, I think people are showing their feet. Or maybe you want to, there are different ideas. If you want to discuss more the ideas, or I can send you a list of links or something that engages people, that's fun, that still, that makes you a well-functioning team with a shared identity. Make time for virtual coffee. What I sometimes do to my remote colleagues, I just ask either we arrange time for a coffee, and I'm like, hey, do you have time for a coffee this afternoon? And we get the coffee, and we, David, very nice. And we get the coffee, each of one gets a coffee in his place, and we have a coffee together. And we discuss something different. Have lunches together, celebrate birthday, celebrate Christmas parties, do fun, engage, make sure you are still that viable team that you used to be in the office. Or make it even more, because now you can include people from different locations that you would never celebrate in your happy hour or go out for lunch together. Right? So make use of the technology. To meet or not to meet, be mindful of other people's times. And if the meeting should have been an email, then send an email. And I hope we still have time for a very short interaction, because I see what you are thinking about, that emails are too many anyway. So maybe we just start a quick poll, and you do it really quickly to stop sharing the results. Launch polling. No, not launch polling. I'm polling. Stop sharing the results. Or maybe we just skip polling and save some time for the questions. So how to reduce the number of incoming mails? There are different tips and tricks out there, the internet and online, and from different sources. You write less emails, or you write them in a more structured way, or whatever, how you want to do it. I have only one suggestion: how to reduce the number of incoming emails and how to reduce the number of WhatsApp chats, is to use a collaboration tool. There are different collaboration tools. I put a few here that I know that are good, that help your team to put the things in the same place, right? So you have your tasks, you have your calendar, you have your to-dos, you have the people responsible for that. David, I can send you the presentation afterwards, so you don't have to read it right now. But they're just, it's not important what the tasks do, right? For what the different tools do. I selected a few where I don't know Paymo. Maybe someone knows Paymo. I know Asana, I know Podio, and I know Teams. I work with them. They're good tools, and they do help. They do help to decrease the number of emails that you're getting into your mailbox. But it's worthwhile time spending looking and searching for a tool and aligning the needs and the specifics of your team and of your business to find a good collaboration tool. There are so many out there. Just go there, designate a person to find a good tool, collect the requirements that you want to have your tool to have, and collect the priorities that you want to use in your tool. Make sure you help people use the tool the right way. For example, with Microsoft Teams, it's a great tool for many different applications. But if you only use it for video conferencing and you store your documents in different locations, and you write chat WhatsApps or you write emails, you're not making the most out of this tool. So just make sure for which things you want to use the tool, right? And treat it as an innovation and an adoption project, because it's not easy. You will have people who don't want to use it, who resist, who still use WhatsApp and chat and write emails and put things in different places. So make sure you take time and you take effort to introduce your new tool to your team. So identify the innovators, identify the early adopters, appeal to them, make a pilot project, get follow the team buy-in or buy-in for those people, and let them be your leverage to roll out it to the rest of the team. But it takes time, depending on the culture and depending on the people that you work with, but you always have this curve. So look for your innovators. And even for the innovators, you still go through 4 phases of adoption. You need their awareness, you need the decision to adopt or to reject. That also might be the case. The initial use, and then the continued use once the habit has set in. So that would be the end of what I have planned to tell you, to share with you. And I'm open for some more questions. I think we still have some minutes to address some more questions. So just...
Yeah, so we do have a few more minutes if anybody has any questions.
Okay.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello, hi. Can you explain us more about this conflict management with the slide again?
So do you want us to go back to the conflict management slide?
Yes, slide 1, because it needs some more time here. That's what we are looking for.
Screen sharing. I will share just in a moment, because I think it unshared my screen because I wanted to go back to the presentation. Is it okay for everyone else that we go back to that slide? If not, just make a veto. Otherwise, we do go back to the slide. Okay. All right. What was the question?
Can you hop more onto this slide, exactly how exactly the crisis management, conflict management can be settled through, kind of?
All right. So as I was already saying, it's the best way to prevent, to solve a conflict is to prevent one, right? The second best way to solve a conflict is to solve it while it's small, okay? So you really want to watch out for conflicts being small and addressing them while being small. And you do this in constant feedback and constant communication with your employees, and in the open culture. So if there is something, if people have some issues, or they're not happy with something, or they're frustrated, or they don't like the task, or they are not aligned with the goal of the organization, or they just don't know how to address it, the best way, if the culture allows them, to talk to you about it. Excuse me. You are trying to see if they're not talking, if people are not talking about it, because sometimes it's just a miscommunication or different perception. And this different perception, it's a risk factor because of the written communication and the time lag and the asynchronous communication. So if you and I talk face to face and I have said something and it was you know, triggered something in you, be it in your values or in expectations, I would see it on your reaction. If I only write an email, you might sleep a night over that email and respond to me tomorrow, but I will not see that reaction, right? So the ability to talk about it and the ability to pick up the difference in tone in the group, it's something that a virtual leader needs a lot more, this ability, than a leader who is leading an on-site team, right? Things still can go wrong, and it's still possible that, obviously it's possible, it happens all the time, that there are conflicts that go bad. That happens all the time in the real world, in the on-site teams, and it also happens in the virtual teams. You try to solve it yourself. It's just the same kind of escalation process that in the regular team. So you try to solve it yourself. You try to talk to the people or to the person, or you try to get the people to talk to each other. If you as a manager and you have a conflict in your team, you try to look for different solutions. Maybe you just can, you know, like arrange them to different tasks so they don't have to work with each other if they don't like each other. Maybe it's a miscommunication, so you want to clarify it. Maybe you don't find a solution. Maybe they don't just want to talk with each other. Maybe you propose, you find a compromise, or you find some other way. If that not works, there is an industry, it's a new industry, but there are people who are specialists in online mediation. So they try to understand like the same kind of mediation or the same kind of conflict mediation that you have in a real world, in face-to-face world. There are specialists. I know some people who are doing it professionally. So that would be the next escalation level to try to solve this conflict. And some conflict just cannot be solved. So we hope that we have possibly few of them.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Hi, I'd love to ask who the person was, and anyone who wants to ask questions, please, would love it if you can give your name so Natalia knows who's asking the question. I am Rohit. I'm part of the TiE board. So I've given my introduction now. Natalia, anyone else has questions, would love to take it forward.
Yeah. Hi, I have a question. My name is Parul and I'm from a team DAG, Dubai Auto Gallery from Dubai. Yeah, I have a question. The question is, yes, in the current scenario, we have to focus more on the output, the results, but still from the HR perspective, how we're going to monitor the employees, because everyone is working from home. So yes, we have to be flexible, but what should be the limit for that flexibility? And in case some measures have to be taken, what should be those? Because we cannot be stringent also in this scenario. So how to deal that situation?
What would be, I'm just trying to understand your question. So what would be the specific things that we want to deal with? Do you want to make sure that people actually work the amount of time that they are paid for? Or do you want to make sure that they are engaged with the task? Or do you have to have it for statistics? Like what is the essence of the question? Why do you want to know how long people work?
Some of the cases, the results might be instant. But in some of the cases or the departments, we will not be able to monitor the results instant. So in that case, if yes, a team is working, so how do we ensure that yes, they are working? Yes, of course, we have to be flexible, that we agree. But what would be the limit for that flexibility from the team who is working from home?
Of course, there are different tools. Like, for example, seeing the change in the progress. Like if you think that someone was giving, it's more for the manager than for the HR person. So if you're thinking that someone was giving more output and was more engaged and was replying faster to the queries, to the tasks that he's doing now, then you might think that his productivity or his motivation went down. But that's, you know, like you can observe it if you have good metrics. So as I'm saying here, apply the appropriate metrics and KPIs, right? So if you only want to watch how long people work, they're a time tracker. So you can implement, I didn't prepare any names for the time tracker, but I can get back to you and give you some suggestions about tools that can watch what people do, like they count number of clicks per minute, or they count number of how often you hit the keyboard per minute, or how much attention you pay to the screen, and they track the working time, right? If that would be the issue. If the results are not observable, as I'm saying, if you need people to be at desk, for example, because it's a hotline, it's a support hotline, right? So they are at desk, but you want to see the difference whether they are really working or if they're just sitting there. It's kind of the same, or they're not sitting there for that reason, right? If they were sitting in the office, you would say, okay, at least he's at his desk. Whether he's working or not, you still cannot measure just by observing him. You can do it by a time tracker. But what you really want to do, you don't want to time track people, but you want them to engage, right? So
yes,
yeah, and it's not about the flexibility. Obviously, the flexibility is there for, you know, people working from home, and people have a different strenuous situation because of Corona, or having kids at home, or worrying about their parents, you know, getting infected or something. So that's the flexibility that we want to offer and to have in our team. But good work, we also do want to have good work, right? And if we do motivate people, we want to see them perform. And we can see them perform by them performing well, by delivering high quality output, and by being engaged, and by being motivated, and by giving new ideas into the team, and contributing to the productive culture. And if you have a productive culture, you have, I was lucky enough to work on a team that was self-motivating. So if there was someone on the team who did not do his homework or didn't perform his task, that was not the manager who was telling the person, oh, you have to work harder. It was the team that was telling him, look, each of us has took our homework and all of us have done it, and you have not. And that's why we are not where we wanted to be today, right? So that's something that you want to create, a team dynamic, that it's productive, that it's friendly, that's respectful, and then you would not have the issue of controlling how much time people spend there. But the short answer to your question, try to create the metrics that you can evaluate people, even if they're remote.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, ma'am. I have a question. I'm Dr. Hamza from Skyline University College. My question, is the outcome or the result from the virtual team will be the same as we are working in our universities or in our companies?
Well, it depends on the team.
I mean, in your opinion, okay, it will be the same results or not? Or
Do you
from
mean-
your experience?
Do you mean the quality of result? Where
I mean, we have specific task, okay, to do it as we are in campus or out campus, okay. I mean, in your opinion, the same thing, the virtual team can perform this task as required if you are in the campus or not?
I think that remote team can perform a lot better than an on-campus team with the good setup, because a remote team, first of all, you're not limited to the physical location of people. So if you do need an expert for your particular issue, for research and development, for technology, for engagement, for finding new talents, maybe it's in HR, for finding new talents for specifically your type of work, You're not limited to your city. You're not limited to the pool of people that are working in the university, but you can engage with people around the world. And with good techniques, I hope I covered some of them today. It's possible to engage people with their intrinsic motivation to do more than what they're doing today. So I think motivation is the biggest driver. It's not the physical location, but it's the intrinsic motivation, the engagement, and the personal connections within the team. And I personally work virtually for the absolutely most part in the last few years. And I have made great personal connections, and I have met great people. Some of them I met maybe once or twice. Some of them I haven't even met. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is the problem actually with the motivation. This is my third year experience here in UAE. I feel that most of the people who work in university or in the companies are demotivated actually for doing many tasks. The main reason is job insecurity in general.
I just want to interrupt in respect of everybody's time. We are running a little bit over time. We started a few minutes late. If we can take one last question, if anybody has, and then close it. If anybody has a question, I think we can get it across to Natalia. I do have a question on chat from Tasneem. How do you share sensitive data with your team members? How secure it is to share in a remote working environment?
I'm definitely not the IT expert. So I would, I'm sure there are ways and tools to share sensitive information securely and to make it secure. And we can do some research. Maybe there is someone from the group today who is working with data security and secure data transmission who wants to take this question. No? Then I can look up some tools and maybe ask some people I know about the data security, how to do that, how to disseminate sensitive information in the internet world. In Europe, personal data protection is a big thing. So in Europe, many of the data flows are restricted by law. Cybersecurity is such a huge topic. There are so many specialists, experts, people who are still looking into it, still doing their research and development and trying to make the cyber world a more secure place for us. And I'm not sure whether this topic is already closed. So you always have a risk when transmitting sensitive data to your employees, but you also do have it in the office. My God, if you have a sensitive information that you have to print and someone forgets it in their desk or forgets it in the printer, it's getting disseminated a lot quicker than in virtual world where you do have secure channels and secure ways of communication. I think we have some more.
Yeah, I think that's the questions, yeah. Thank you, Natalia.
Yeah, we have some cybersecurity specialists here. So, Zuhair, if maybe you can add something to this question, or if it's okay for you, we can share your contact, and whoever has a question on cybersecurity can come up to you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. This is Zuhair. Actually, what you told was perfect. Actually, and if anyone need some support or just some suggestions or something like that, they can just email me. I can support them. Actually, of course, we are also completely running remote, and we are based on India. We have like a virtual office around the world actually. So we are completely running remote, and we are a cybersecurity company. So anyone need any support can just email us. I'm sharing my email actually. You can just forward it to, or maybe you can show it over the screen or something.
Should we, Cicely, could you forward it to everyone, or how do we want, or you just put it in the email afterwards?
Yeah, I'll just share it on the screen and then if somebody
Yeah,
wants.
cool. That's perfect. Yeah. Or if anyone have any specific cybersecurity confusions, they can ask also. Maybe that's not our topic, but if anything very urgent, I can share it over here.
So we thank you to everybody who was here with us. Thank you, Natalia, so much. And I think it was a very timely session that we needed. We will send surveys out to everybody, survey links along with the presentation. So you can, this is our first virtual session, so all feedback is very valuable for us to be able to bring you the best things that you are looking for in terms of time, in terms of how the question and answer session was it valuable? Because we also want to make sure that we don't miss what we used to do face-to-face. We had a great engagement with our audience. So while we move workshops online, we want your feedback. Yeah. Any last words, Natalia? Rohit, do you want to say anything?
Yes, I do want to thank you for such an engaging session and for great questions and for your participation. And I do hope that you take some takeaways with you for your office and for your team. And feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or email, or just connect, give me a call, WhatsApp. I'd be happy to address any of the other issues that you might have.
I'd like to thank both Natalia and Cicely. Natalia for a great event, for a great learning for all of us. Cicely for doing everything to make this happen. I know the pain she went through to get all this set up in record time. We decided to do this event in 3 days back, and in 3 days she's got this up and running. So I thank Cicely, and I thank everyone on the board of TiE for being part of this. We hope to do many such events and hope all of you can join and give us your inputs to make these events more and more engaging and more valuable to all of us. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rohit.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.